Hey everyone, this is Jack. Today we're going to be learning about Xiangqi, or Chinese chess. The objective of the game is to get your opponent's general in a position where it is left with no option but to be captured in the next move. This is called a checkmate. Here's the layout of the board, as you can see here. Each player picks a color, red or black, and places their pieces on the intersecting lines as shown, so you'd be playing on the dots. Take note that the symbols for each color are slightly different. For example, the red king and the black king is different. On each side of the board, against the back edge, is a 3x3 area with an X shape, as shown here. This is called the palace. In the center of the board, dividing the two opposing sides, is the river. That'll come in handy later. Pieces may cross the river if their movement allows so. Pick a player to go first, then turns alternate. On your turn, you must move one piece, then your opponent goes. Pieces can be captured opponent's pieces by using their normal moves and landing on a point occupied by an enemy piece. Captured pieces are removed from the game and may no longer be used. The general may move one point either vertically or horizontally, like this, as you can see. And then we have the palace, which he can only move in here. And he cannot move diagonally. Also, a general may not move into a column which is occupied by the enemy general unless there is at least one piece position in between. The guard moves one point diagonally as confined to the palace. So we can see here, like that. That is how the guard moves, and it can only move inside the palace again. The elephant moves exactly 2 points diagonally in any direction and may not jump over intervening pieces or cross the river. So here, I'll show you guys. This is how it moves. As you can see, the dots. It cannot cross the river. And then we have the horse. The horse moves in an L shape similar to the knight in normal chess, but in this case it moves 1 point horizontally or vertically and then diagonally, and it cannot jump over pieces. For example, if I go here, opponent moves, I cannot go to this spot because the pawn is standing directly in my way. I cannot jump over it. And last we have the rook on the last rank. It can move similar to a rook in chess, horizontally, vertically, however many spaces it wants. And now, here comes the most unique piece, the cannon. The cannon is a piece that moves like a rook. It can move horizontally, vertically. But in order to take a piece, it has to have a piece in between its line of sight to the other piece. For example, let's say I move it here. Now, I cannot take this pawn right next to me, but what I can take is the pawn right next to it, because this pawn sets as my stand, as what the Chinese would call it, and therefore, as with this stand, I can now take the piece behind it. And lastly, we have the pawn. The pawn can move one space forward, and it cannot move backwards. And after it crosses the river, it has the ability to move sideways as well, but only one space. So it can keep on moving vertically as you choose. And also, it cannot go back. So now, that is all for the pieces. And if your general is in danger of being captured on the next move, the general is in check, and your opponent must say check. You must now either move your general out of check, block the check, or capture the piece threatening check. If you're unable to do so without escaping capture on the following turn, then your opponent has checkmated you and they win the game. If you force your opponent to repeat their move by repeating their move a second time, you must break the cycle with a different move on your next turn. If you check your opponent 3 times in a row in a way that repeats their positions, then your opponent must forfeit and you win.